When you think of baseball's Mount Rushmore, names like Ruth, Mays, and Aaron come to mind. Their names are etched into the granite of the sport. But there's another player whose case is so overwhelming that leaving him out of the conversation feels like a historic oversight. He was the first man ever crowned MVP of both leagues. He tore down one of baseball's last great barriers. We're not just talking about a Hall of Famer. We're talking about a level of greatness few ever touch. This is the case for Frank Robinson, not just as a legend, but as an inner-circle baseball god. And this is why his legacy is, quite simply, untouchable. To make a case this bold, you need proof. When you combine the hitting, the winning, the fire, and the history, you get the standard. Let's start with the numbers, because they almost win the argument by themselves. Over 21 seasons, Frank Robinson compiled a staggering career, 586 home runs, nearly 3,000 hits, and over 1,800 RBIs. This wasn't a flash in the pan, this was relentless excellence. He arrived in 1956 and immediately won National League Rookie of the Year with the Cincinnati Reds. By 1961, he was the league's MVP, leading the Reds to a pennant. He was a certified superstar. And then, Cincinnati made one of the worst trades in sports history. After the 1965 season, the Reds GM traded him to the Baltimore Orioles, calling Robinson an old 30. A public declaration that his best days were done. Frank Robinson took that personally. What he did in 1966 wasn't just a great season, it was an answer. He won the Triple Crown, leading the American League with a .316 average, 49 home runs, and 122 RBIs. He was unanimously named AL MVP, becoming the first and only player to win the award in both leagues. He wasn't finished. He then led the Orioles to their first World Series title, earning World Series MVP honors. The old 30 was now the undisputed king of baseball. That one season is practically a closing argument on its own. Stats tell you what a player did, not who he was. To understand Frank Robinson, you have to understand the fire that fueled him. He was one of the most ferocious competitors the game has ever seen. His code was simple, the baseline was his. He slid hard, spikes high, to break up double plays and send a message. He wanted the infielder to flinch the next time. It was calculated, psychological warfare. He crowded the plate, daring pitchers to come inside. When they knocked him down, he got back up and usually hit a line drive off the wall. This intensity wasn't just for opponents. In Baltimore, he created the kangaroo court. With a mop for a wig and a bat for a gavel, Judge Robinson would fine teammates for mental mistakes, forgetting the number of outs or missing a sign. This wasn't about shaming, it was about accountability. It forged a bond that turned a talented team into a dynasty that won 3 straight AL pennants. If his career ended there, he's an all-time great. But what he did next lifts him into a different stratosphere. He didn't just master the game, he changed who was allowed to lead it. By the early 70s, Robinson was campaigning to become the first black manager in Major League Baseball, one of the sport's last, most visible barriers. On October 2, 1974, the Cleveland Indians made history, naming him their player-manager. The pressure was immense. He knew he was carrying the weight of history, wishing Jackie Robinson could be there to see it. His debut was April 8, 1975. The whole country was watching. In his very first at-bat, Robinson stepped to the plate and blasted a home run. The stadium of 56,000 people exploded. It wasn't just a home run, it was a statement. He didn't just handle the pressure, he commanded it. He went on to manage 4 different teams, even winning Manager of the Year with the Orioles in 1989. He didn't just open a door, he built a bridge that every minority manager since has walked across. So, let's lay it all out. The offensive machine. A Rookie of the Year, 2 MVPs in 2 different leagues, a Triple Crown, and a World Series MVP. The fiercest competitor. A player who weaponized his intensity to elevate 2 separate franchises to greatness. The Trailblazer. The man who broke baseball's managerial color barrier with cinematic flair. Any one of those gets you into Cooperstown. The combination makes Frank Robinson's legacy untouchable. Who else was an MVP in both leagues and kicked down the door as the first black manager? The list starts and ends with Frank Robinson. Most legends just dominate the game. Frank Robinson dominated it, then changed who was allowed to lead it. That is why he is an inner-circle baseball god. That is why his legacy is untouchable. Frank Robinson's career was about production, fire, and history. Now I have to know what you think. Where does Frank Robinson rank for you on the list of all-time greats? Write in the comments section below, and don't forget to subscribe, like and share this video, and click on the notification bell. And don't forget to click on the playlist above to watch more MLB Hall of Famers of his era. Thanks for watching.